Hello everybody, so it's just me today, so I'm literally gonna sit down and get started. So thank you so much to those of you that are still tuning in this week despite the fact that I don't have the lovely Rhiannon sat next to me. So it's just me, and I put the feelers out as to what you guys wanted to see, and the majority of responses kind of said things. There was so many different things, topics that people wanted me to cover, and obviously I can't cover everything, but a recurring theme was definitely motivation, and particularly like throughout the winter months, how to keep motivation in the gym, you know, when it's sunny outside, and we are all, you know, kind of like we have to have our bodies out a little bit more, so perhaps the motivation to go to the gym is a little bit increased, but actually, you know, during the winter months it's really difficult when it's dark and it's cold outside. Our motivation to generally train and actually to eat well as well just diminishes, and you know, so many people sort of say like they feel increased hunger throughout the winter months, they feel as though they're kind of, you know, trying to eat to stay warm and all these sorts of things. So I'm going to be covering my top 6 tips I've written down here. So 6 tips how I generally, you know, find that I stay motivated, and things that I give to my clients as well to help them keep motivation. So I'm going to talk you through them now. I'm just waiting for a few people to tune in. I did try and do it at 6 o'clock, but I was cooking my dinner, which I'm going to eat after this. So I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet, but I hope that this helps some of you guys to kind of find that motivation to help keep up with your training and keep your nutrition on point and generally stay healthy and happy, which is what we want. So starting off, my first kind of tip, it's not necessarily a tip, but this is something that I really try and encourage with all of my clients, is, you know, don't come to me just with aesthetic goals. And I've actually written on the page here, find motivation out of a love for yourself. So go to the gym, eat well, you know, kind of try and get that whole picture of 360 health out of a love for yourself. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't train sometimes, you know, for aesthetic goals. Of course, we all do. We all train for vanity reasons to a certain extent. And I'm not going to sit here and say, no, it's always because I just love myself. You know, I'm not going to say that. But what I will say is that I've refound a reason to train through just a respect for my body. I do it because I love the way that it makes me feel. I do it because I enjoy it and it's a stress reliever. I do it for multiple reasons, but the reasons that go far beyond just the aesthetic, just training for aesthetics or just eating well to look a certain way, you know? So I always try to encourage my clients, and something that I practice myself as well. And actually I was having a conversation with my housemate just before I did this video about what motivates him, and he was like, you know, I train for vanity a lot of the time, of course I do, but actually 9 times out of 10 I now try and encourage myself to do it just out of a respect for my body. You know, it doesn't have to be a really heavy gym session, but even just keeping active throughout the week, you know, going for a 30-minute walk to give yourself some headspace, get outside and do something where you're kind of in nature and you can kind of just de-stress and put a bit of music on and chill. I'm not saying that, you know, motivation is going to be sky high out of a love for yourself 24/7, but just do something because you love your body and out of love for yourself and out of respect for your body as well. You know, none of us want to be couch potatoes. None of us want to sit down all the time and not be active in some way. But if we can do it because we want to see past those aesthetics goals, which of course are going to motivate us to a certain extent, but if we can do it because, you know, you generally love the package you're in, you're only given one body, and this is going to last you all the way through your life till you're 90 years old, hopefully way past that as well. So have some respect for it, treat it with kindness, do it because you love this vessel that you've been given and that you are in, and try and do it for the right reason. So first of all, starting whatever you're doing, your journey, whether you're halfway through, whether you're just at the beginning, or whether you're all the way through like me, you're never too late to kind of relearn why you're doing what you're doing and try and practice a bit of self-love instead of just looking in the mirror and being like, I don't like this, I don't like that, so I'm going to go to the gym and be really hard on myself because of that. Because those goals only last a certain amount of time before you get quite disheartened, perhaps, before you lose motivation when things don't seem to be happening. So really try and see past those aesthetic goals and try and do it out of a place of self-love, which is a bit of a cringy saying, but anyway, I've turned into a bit of a hippie recently. So yeah, that is my first top tip. So second top tip I have written down, Now, I am a massive advocate of having a plan in place when I go to the gym. I like to know when I step in that door what I'm going to be doing. Or I like to know, for example, with my eating or, you know, whatever I'm doing, I like to kind of have to a certain extent, a plan with what I'm doing. But I think that recently I've actually enjoyed moving away from that. So I think in the beginning, I needed a plan in place, and I think it's really beneficial to have a plan in place, because I feel like when you go to the gym, if you don't know what you're doing, you can often have that kind of awkward moment where you walk in and you're like, I'm going to train legs today, and then you sort of might go over to the leg press machine and you'll do a couple of leg presses, and then you might go and do a bit of a leg curl, but actually, like, you're not really doing anything of much effectiveness, and there's not really a kind of structure to the workout. You're just sort of going through the motions. Whereas I feel like when you've got a plan in place, so you know exactly what you're going to do when you step in the door. Okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to do this for X amount of sets, for X amount of reps, and then I'm going to move on to this. I find that gives you the most effective workout, because you can go in, you know exactly what you're going to do, you can smash it out, and then you can leave knowing you've had a good workout. Whereas I think if you go in with no kind of general written down plan of what you're going to do, that can be really difficult. Having said that, so if you're at the beginning, I think it's really beneficial. If you're not particularly, you know, well trained yet, or you're still getting to grips with how to use stuff in the gym, and you're not really kind of too familiar with the gym environment, or generally the kind of training that you've opted for, having a plan in place really does help. Whether that be you bought a guide, whether that be you're following you know, someone who's given you a program, or whether you've just sort of written down in the notes on your phone. You know, when I'm at work, sometimes I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. I know that I want to train legs. Okay, what am I going to do? And I literally just write in the notes in my phone my session, so that it's there and it's written down. It takes 5 minutes, and I find that makes me really I'm really motivated to go and train, because I know exactly what I'm going to do. But yeah, having said that, recently I've kind of moved slightly away from always having a plan, and learned to really play with my gym sessions, which I find has given me more motivation. And what I mean when I say that is, sometimes you can be bound by a plan, and sometimes, you know, my body doesn't want to do squats today. It's not feeling it. Like, my quads are really sore, my glutes are really sore. It's not feeling that. I want to do something else. What can I do? And if I have a plan in place, sometimes that can actually be quite restrictive, because actually my body's not feeling like that today. I'm actually feeling like doing something else. I'm actually feeling maybe, you know, I need to focus on more hamstring isolation stuff. So maybe I'll do some more hamstring work instead. You know, for whatever reason, sometimes you can find that actually it can also have the reverse effect, and can actually demotivate you if you feel bound by a plan that you have to stick to religiously. So I think that, you know, it does come down to what kind of person you are mostly. So do you really like having a plan in place? I also think for the beginner and generally actually the intermediate, having a plan in place is a lot more effective for your gym sessions than just, you know, playing it by ear. But if you're slightly more advanced, and if you kind of know your way around the gym really well, and you're very well versed in all the kind of exercises, and you've got really, you know, you're bodily aware as well, sometimes not having a plan and going on how you feel, going on what's best for your body on that particular day, can also be quite beneficial and can be quite motivating. So I know I'm being a little bit contradictory there, but I hope that you can see both ends of the spectrum and why both are quite beneficial to keeping motivation. So, next point. This is something that I talked about a lot, and I know me and Rhiannon did a whole Facebook Live on overtraining, but I think there's a real there's a real kind of distinction that needs to be made between when to rest because your body is really tired and you really need to rest, and when sometimes you might feel a little bit better if you just pushed yourself that little bit and went to the gym. It comes down to a personal thing. There's no kind of hard and fast rule, but I think that sometimes we can be a little bit soft on ourselves, and I've been there. I'm not saying that you should never ever train through, you know, real soreness. You should never ever train if you're feeling exhausted or if you're really stressed. You know, that's just going to raise your cortisol levels. It's going to stress you out even more. So I'm not saying that you should do it for when things are really bad, but sometimes when you're umming and ahhing about whether you should go to the gym and you're sort of sat at home and you're like me, which I do all the time, I sort of procrastinate and I'll go and do various other bits, everything else other than actually go to the gym. But when I do go and I actually push myself that little bit harder to go, I feel 10 times better after the session. So I think it's understanding in your own body when to have that balance and where that kind of set point is where, you know, this part of me, okay, you know, I really feel like I need to rest. My body's sore, I'm tired, I'm not going to have a very effective gym session. And in those circumstances, absolutely, you must rest. But you need to be able to distinguish between that and when you're kind of, you know, you might just be a little bit sluggish, you've had a bit of a long day at work, it might be first thing in the morning, you're a morning person to train, and you've woken up a little bit tired. You know, sometimes getting to the gym, getting your energy levels up, clearing your head, putting a bit of motivating music on, that can actually really help you. And so it's finding your distinct, oh my God, what is the word? Distinguishing between those two and knowing when to rest and when to push yourself. I think that's really important. And once you understand that, then that can be motivating, because those days where you do sort of feel as though, okay, I really can't be bothered, but I know I should go, that you can know, okay, maybe I should just push myself. I know I'm going to feel better after I do it. So I find that can be quite helpful. So my next point, and this is something I talk about a lot, and I don't know whether you guys understand what I mean when I say it, but respecting the whole 360 package of health, I think, is really, really important, and something that I advocate with all of my clients. I don't just focus on what they do in the gym. That's not what I'm about. You know, as much as I care about every single second, every single minute that they spend with me in the gym, and we relish that time together, I also care about what happens outside of the gym, because they spend 1 hour of 24 hours of a day with me, and so much else goes on outside of that hour with me that is really important to me, and really important to knowing what's going on and why they might not be progressing, why they might be, you know, not really feeling it today, why they might be lacking motivation. So if you're lacking motivation in the gym, it can often be coming from elsewhere. And it's really important to understand that motivation in all areas needs to be respected and needs to be worked on by looking at a 360 picture of health. And what I mean by that is, you know, are you sleeping well? You know, are you getting a good, decent quality of sleep at night? Are your stress levels really, really high? Are things at work incredibly stressful? Is that making you feel, you know, really anxious? Are you suffering from a bit sort of anxiety to a certain extent? What's your kind of day-to-day activity levels like? Are you someone that maybe day-to-day you're sat down all day, or alternatively you might have been on your feet all day and you're feeling absolutely knackered, and therefore your kind of daily caloric burn might be so high already that you probably could forgo that gym session that day. Things like just general happiness levels, like what's going on, like are you feeling happy today, how are you feeling, like all these sorts of things. Also obviously nutrition as well, that underpins everything. Is your nutrition on point? Because if it isn't, then, and you're sort of putting the wrong fuel into the body, you might not feel like going to the gym. Of course, like we're not, you know, when I've not eaten enough, for example, if you haven't eaten enough, you might not feel like you need to go to, you might not have the energy to go to the gym. So all of these things are really, really important and kind of contribute to what I describe as this 360 picture of health. We're not just looking at the gym in isolation. We're not just looking at our nutrition in isolation. It's really about looking at the bigger picture and seeing how maybe weaknesses within that bigger picture might be contributing to a lack of motivation. So I think it's really, really important to take a step back, look at the overall picture, look at the overarching narrative of your week, your month, and maybe see what might be going on that could be causing you to lose motivation. Particularly in the winter months, you know, I think making sure that you're getting a good quality of sleep, making sure that you are, you know, getting out, getting some daily fresh air as well. Vitamin D levels might be low, which can cause you to feel a little bit down in the dumps. So looking at all those sorts of things, it's so important not just to focus on the isolated gym environment and be like, oh, I'm losing motivation there. I think it's important to take a step back, look at the bigger picture and see what's going on, and see if there might be something elsewhere, for example, that might then have caused you to lose motivation elsewhere. So yeah, that is what I mean when I say the 360 picture of health. Moving on, something that I find really beneficial, and this is on a slightly more light-hearted note, is finding a partner to work out with, finding someone to train with. I literally love training with friends, training with interesting people as well. You know, I love training with people that train differently to me, for example. So, for example, Byron, that came on my Facebook Live the other day, he's a power lifter, and he trains completely differently to how I ever trained. But I found it so interesting training with him and picking up different kind of levels, different inspiration from different places. So I was very stuck in my way of how I trained, and I very much had a very bodybuilding training split. And then started to train with Byron and noticed that there were things that he was doing that I was like, that's really cool, and I really want to try doing that. Can you just show me how you do that? And we'd work together, and now my training has completely changed because of that. So I think sometimes, you know, even if you approach someone in the gym, I know this sounds a bit like kooky and people don't really like to talk to people in the gym, but the amount of times I've gone up to someone in the gym and I've said, oh, that was really cool, what was that? Or what was that working? Get inspiration from loads of different places. And if you do see someone doing something cool in the gym, you know, there's no harm in sort of saying like, oh, I think you train really well. Would you like to train together sometime? You know, I'm not saying that you need to go up to everyone in the gym and say that, and you might get turned down, so please don't blame me if you do. But there's no harm in asking, and sometimes that can be just a bit of motivation you need to reignite your passion to train. You can get inspiration from them. Everyone has a different way of training, and we can all learn from each other. So it's really important that, you know, sometimes all you need is just to meet up with a friend, train together, have a few ideas. They might bring some different ideas to the table, and from that you can really kind of reignite your passion to train. So I think partnering up is an excellent way of getting some motivation. I also think, like, you know, I've seen people put feelers out on Facebook. So on my private Facebook page, I've seen friends write, I really need a gym buddy, I'm lacking in motivation. I think one of my friends did it recently, and they literally put out, I go to the gym, X, Y, and Z, does anyone want to come and join me? And I was like, do you know what? That is amazing. Like, go on, girl. That's going to take confidence to kind of just put the feelers out and say, come and train with me. But if you want to, I'm sure people are probably in the same boat as you. And if you live in an area where you know people that go to your gym, but you're not necessarily too confident enough to say, let's train together, just put the feelers out, see what people think. Because I know that a lot of people struggle to find a training buddy, and they actually find it quite difficult to partner up with someone. So it can sometimes seem like a really cop-out response when you say, oh, find a training buddy. But, you know, there are ways and means, and I think that it can definitely help you find some motivation. My last point, and I'm sorry, I'm keeping this short and sweet today because I'm really hungry and I want my dinner. My last point today is my favourite point and where I get all of my inspiration and what motivates me to train at the moment. And it is titled, Become a Geek. Now, this is easier said than done, I know, because not all of us have time to read, not all of us have time to research everything, and it does take time, and it can be quite laborious sometimes, and you have to work through a lot of text, and some of it is pointless and some of it is rubbish, but some stuff is really, really good. And what I encourage you all to do is to just geek out, read some stuff, listen to podcasts, learn about your body. So I'm going to give you a few examples. So I use an app called Body Atlas, and I think it's an excellent tool just to get to know your body, just to know what muscles are where, because a lot of people don't even know. For example, like, where is your psoas? Do you guys know? Maybe not, maybe. But things like that. Look on Body Atlas. It's a simple free app you can download to your phone and start to understand about the muscles in the body, so that when you're doing exercises, you know, okay, well, that's supposed to be working my gastrocnemius, for example. Oh, that's a really crap example, but anyway, that's supposed to be working my glute med. Like, do people know where that is? And if you don't, go and have a look. Oh, okay, that's there. Oh, okay, I know what I should be working now. I know where I should be feeling it. So get to know your body, first of all, and then start reading around the subject. So I absolutely love Supple Leopard. I know I've talked about it before. It has a lot of points that I don't agree with, yes, but it also has a lot of really, really good stuff in there that I think is really good information and can be implemented into your training to help improve it and give a bit of inspiration and maybe help with your recovery for sure, but also help with variations in exercises, progressions or regressions in exercises, all those sorts of things. I've also written down here a couple of people that I like. Charles Poliquin is a podcast that I would listen to for just general motivation and inspiration. I absolutely love as well listening to people like the Strength Guys, I think they're called. Oh my god, it's gone out of my head now. I think the Strength Guys, I like Ben Coomber as well. I think it's great for nutrition information. Obviously London Muscle, and they're kind of they write a lot of blog posts at the moment. I know that Josh Silverman, who teaches on the London Muscle Academy, has just written a whole blog post for London Muscle, and I think he's going to be doing some more, and his stuff is super interesting, so definitely go and check that out. But there's so much information out there, and it's really like, I find it really, really helps me to just geek out a little bit, read stuff, try stuff out in the gym that you've read. If it doesn't work for you, go away, go back to the drawing board, read something else. You know, there's such a breadth of information out there now that I think it's really important to read, learn, educate yourself, geek out a little bit, because it really, really does help you to understand your body, maybe give you a bit of inspiration for the gym, and also just generally, like, I'm not saying that you should have to read just fitness books either. I read a lot of self-development books, which I find help me with general motivation. I really, really personally enjoyed, and I know it's not to everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoyed reading The Miracle Morning, which I thought was a really good book, and I was just reading it and feeling so motivated when I read it. And there's a couple of other books which I can pop onto my Snapchat, or I will write a little post about which books I really like, but there's so much out there. So I would definitely recommend geeking out a bit, because I think you will find that very beneficial. Anyway, I'm now going to stop rambling because I've been chatting for a while and I really want my dinner. But I just wanted to say that I hope all of those tips helped you a little bit. I know that I can chat for England, so I hope you can pinpoint the kind of nuggets of information from there, and hopefully that helps you to get a bit of motivation back. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, but I tried my hardest to kind of put my thoughts onto the page. I'm also going to end the video with a final kind of shout out. I have here, and I know this is a bit salesy and really like cringing at myself for doing this, but I am so excited because I have my new book, which I got, and it comes out on the 29th of December, and I have actually signed 2,000 copies for you guys, which you can go onto my Instagram and click the link in my bio to pre-order your signed copy, and I would so love you guys to have a look at this book. I'm not going to show you the inside yet because I'm going to do a flick through this week, but yeah, if you want to have lots of recipe information, recipe inspiration, God, I cannot talk tonight. If you want lots of recipe inspiration, I would so love you to pre-order the book, and yes, like I said, it comes out on the 29th of December, and I am so proud of it, so yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. This was a Sunday series just with me. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment if you did. I would love to hear from you guys. Just, yeah, I'm not asking you to write you love me or anything, but if you enjoyed the chat, I will definitely try and do more of these. So please leave me a comment, and I hope you all have a very lovely Sunday, and tune into Strictly. Who's gonna go? Who knows? Anyway, lots of love. Thank you so much, and I will speak to you soon.